Greetings and God bless. Thank you for watching. So, I have been meaning to do a video about this for a while, and I really don't know how to bring this up because other people are just so much more better at debate and arguing than I am. But let me ask you, what do you call a person that deprives somebody of social support so that they can't resist, so they're not allowed to, so they're not capable of making independent decisions? What kind of a person is it that makes that person, the individual, the victim? What kind of a person is it that makes a victim dependent on the predator? What kind of a person makes the victim kind of self-obsessed? What kind of a person frustrates all the efforts the victim makes? What kind of a person removes any other information support that could compete with the predator? What kind of a person does that? What kind of a person weakens the victim mentally and physically so they can't do anything unpredictable? What kind of a person wears that deliberately wears the victim out by tension and fear? What kind of a person makes the victim feel anxiety and despair, and then plays head games? Has demands and consequences for not obeying. What kind of a person requires you to obey, and then plays the head games of a little forgiveness, a little indulgence? Um, so it's like the person's deprived, and then there's something nice that happens, and then the person's deprived. So it's not always deprivation, and then the person becomes habituated. The habit of deprivation is deliberately manipulated to have a break, and that makes the experience much more easy. It gives the predator more control over the victim. And so when the predator gives the little indulgent, it makes the victim think there's hope. Maybe that the predator is going to start seeing some sense. And this keeps the victim unsure of what to do next, and possibly keeps the victim from making any decisions of what to do themselves. What kind of a person pretends they're omnipotent, like brainwashes the victim? There's nothing you can do. You have to do it my way. What kind of a person, rewards, blind obedience? What kind of a person makes independent behavior seem worse than compliance? What kind of a person punishes the victim for doing what the victim wants to do, for the victim making their own decisions, being free? What kind of a person deliberately creates helplessness in a victim? What kind of a person creates fear of freedom, fear of change, fear of dependence? Like fear of fear of leaving the predator. What kind of a person makes the victim dependent on their abuser? And back to the mind games. What kind of a person makes the victim compliant, like habitually compliant? And when the predator's demands are illogical, when the predator is contradictory, like Eat all the strawberries. What did you do? You ate all the strawberries. Playing this never-ending lose-lose game on the victim. So what kind of a person would create these rules with ever-changing goals, ever-changing standards, ever-changing rules? What kind of a person does that? What do you call a person who is just coercive, controlling, down to what you're doing in the privacy of your car or your home and whatnot? What kind of a person is that? I hope you have the same word that I have, and of course there's many words. But I was watching a video about current events, and they focused on this little kid, and it made me tear up because all of you people that are supporting this coercion, this totalitarian takeover of the United States of America, those of you who are actively doing it or passively allowing it to happen, you are the name that you were saying to all of those totalitarian, coercive, Nazi kind of behaviors, fascist, evil. It seems to me we're lost. But even though we are lost, lose with virtue, lose in a noble way. Stand on your feet for what is right. And if you don't know what right is, look at the Bible, read the Bible. If you can't do that, look at the Constitution. But I would still, try to have somebody explain the Bible to you. Talk to God. Talk to Jesus. And yeah, I know there's bright lights happening. I know there's solutions happening, and that's good. I think we are at the end of time and existence. And there's, there's weird planetary stuff. This lady, I think it's the final days, she's showing all these weather cameras are picking up these huge celestial bodies that she says is part of what's going on with all the earthquakes and the volcanoes and tsunamis that have, flooding and all sorts of weather. And folks are also saying that there's directed energy weapons technology affecting La Palma and causing fires. And there's HARP technology, which is using particulates that have been sprayed in the clouds, and so they've got these aluminum particles and whatnot, and you can do electromagnetic transmissions through the clouds. And I don't really understand the mechanisms of all that, but even if it's the end of the world, be noble, people. Nothing matters. Protect your children. Your children are not just things. Your children are not a display item. They're little children. They're vulnerable babies. How could you have masking them? How could you be ignoring them like this? And I'm not trying to bash parents in general who are just overwhelmed parents. I understand it takes tremendous courage and swallowing of one's pride to opt out of this diabolical system that is trying to alter the child's humanity with a genetic modification, with a gender reassignment, with the very breath that they take, folks. There's so much that makes it obvious that there's something very, very wrong. And it should be obvious. And I know things seem like they're okay, but they're not. Like and that this has been going on for 2 years. So it seems to me we are at an end, and I just want to encourage people, even when it's the end well, end with integrity. And pray. And please get to know Jesus. I talk about it a lot. I'm not going to do it again here because I feel like I'm just being kind of negative, but if you're a passive parent, you're continuing to let the satanic ritual abuse happen to your children, shame on you. Shame on you. Like, you shouldn't have been allowed to have a child if you're not going to protect it from monsters. These children have not been allowed to play. You know what it is when a child is not allowed to play? That's an abused child. So we have a mass, unlike anything else in our history, we have an entire abused child population. And I believe God will turn everything for good, and that there's probably things I don't know. But I want you to think about that. What was the name that came up when I went through that list? If you made it through the whole list, are you that kind of person? Are you a tyrant? Are you a conformist? So thank you for listening, and please try to get other people to think about what's going on right now, to stand up for liberty, to stand up for morality. What's a supposed infection with a 98% recovery rate? We knew that at the beginning. We knew that there was a 99% recovery rate. And like, people I know who are really smart, I have been told directly, they don't even want to know. And they have children. And they have to wear masks, but they don't want to know. They don't want to know. And so, I mean, I can't make anybody eat a particular diet I want them to have or live a lifestyle I want them to have. But when you actively ignore explicit direct evil at every turn, what is that? Like, what is that person's role in society that's turning a blind eye to mass child abuse? When that person has leverage, has social status, has money, but they won't They won't help other human beings. What is that? I think that's called a coward. And that's not an American. That's not a patriot. And I don't know a whole lot about patriotism and whatnot, but I do know what a good human being is. I know what good human beings, how they make me feel. And usually they're humble people. Every once in a while I see somebody who resonates for me, who's in a position of authority and power. And I know I'm not courageous all the time, but sometimes I can't help myself. And I am just really amazed at how self-contained pretty much everybody else is around me. So, and they have no shame. People are just shamelessly sacrificing themselves, their children, people around them. And it makes me wonder, like, has there been an invasion of the body snatchers? Who are these people? Because these aren't the human beings I was around 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we had people, maybe more like 20 years ago, but yeah, I mean, we had people who, I mean, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people were going to rallies, people were going to events, people, they had like energy to do whatever, whichever party they were involved with. And now it's like those, all those people who are going to Republican events or going to Democratic events, where the hell are these now? So like uh invasion of the body snatchers, is that's what happened? Or do they all live in another continent now? Is everybody just hiding in their houses while the world is disintegrating? Like how is anything functioning anymore? How is it that I have electricity, that there's internet with people like this? Right? Like, if people are so dumb to suffocate themselves, to suffocate their little babies from the time the little baby's born, to inject the little babies, to inject themselves. How do we have, how are people driving? You know, God is so good to us because I think we've really rapidly devolved into less than humans. We think we're human beings. I'm wondering if people's souls have somehow, they've sold their souls. I don't know. Like, is this reality made of the people and the elements that we thought it was? Like, does it have the same people values? I don't know what, I mean, I do not know how to describe what is going on, but what is going on, it it's like humans have thrown themselves under the bus. And I'll say Americans, because I'm seeing all these countries doing marches. You'll see a whole lot of people, and maybe I need to initiate a march that nobody will ever go to, because everything I try to initiate here in Rapid City, just like I do not generate interest. But where are the Americans? And yes, there are the American frontline doctors and people like that. And there are conventions like Weston A. Price and the Red Pill Expo. So there are these like talks, and I think, like, on one hand, we're comfy on the internet, and I just feel like that may not be enough. I don't know what to do. I wish there was somebody who was more experienced in how to navigate the decline of civilization when a supernatural satanic group has taken over. And I guess, it's prayer. We fight not flesh and blood, but principalities. So maybe that's what's been going on. Maybe people are praying because it must be because that people are getting genetic modification injections. They're getting genetic modifications installations every couple days for work. They think it's going to be okay. They're suffocating themselves. Like, I mean, humans are amazing, because Satan has been throwing so much at us. I mean, so we've got those various things going on, and then we have Monsanto, we have chemtrails, we have Lyme disease and other co-infections, we have undiagnosed, untreated parasite infections, we have radiation in the water, in the air from Fukushima, and elsewhere we have mold everywhere because every place has water damage and mold. We are amazing that we're even standing up and slightly sane. And maybe this was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and just people they're like, I am going to be comfortable as long as I wear a mask and get an injection. I mean, these are people who, they're like, I'm going to be vegan. I'm vegan. I'm this, I'm that. So anyways, thank you so much if you're still watching. And I guess, in the end, we just get to pray to Lord Jesus Christ and trust that Almighty God has everything under his control. God bless.